Pomerantz represented them as a group.
How close was he to going personally bankrupt?
Very.
Trump makes a point of saying he never went personally bankrupt. But there's a reason why the banks decided to keep Trump whole.
We made the decision that he would be worth more alive to us than dead. Dead meaning in bankruptcy. We don't want him to be in bankruptcy. We want him out in the world selling these assets for us.
So you wanted him alive because he was a salesman and could best sell his own properties.
That's correct. We kept him alive to help us.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher, and guys, you know I come back with that second video to make you think. And basically I have Cynthia McKinney that just letting us know that the game is rigged. Of course, she was in the house for a little while, but basically just going over the fact is that in 2008 the power switched hands. So as we can see with our companies right now, basically we went from American white males to basically foreigners. That's our CEOs inside of these big corporations. Also, we have BlackRock, who owns like 70% of every major corporation. So the fact is, guys, we see all of the wealth in a few hands. What I teach you that everything is planned out. The game is rigged. Enjoy the video.
Most since being that dirty word that we call politician several years back. What is the greatest rabbit hole that you've gone down since you've been in government?
The greatest rabbit hole.
Like, what's something that you've learned since being in government that you kind of wish, I suppose, when you were...
Didn't know? Yeah. Oh, well, one, that it's all fake. You know, that was really a very sad moment for me when I served on the House International Relations Committee, and the particular subcommittee, I think it was Western Hemisphere Subcommittee, was having a hearing, and the chairman of the subcommittee was there. I was on the subcommittee, so I was there. And then the committee or the subcommittee were interviewing, had a panel of witnesses that were being questioned by the subcommittee members. And it looked like it was a normal event. Then, all of a sudden, the chairman of the subcommittee, we sit down, we go through the hearing. The chairman of the subcommittee is fussing at the witness. And the witness is antagonistic toward the chairman of the subcommittee. So there's some friction, there's electricity, there's something happening in the air. After the hearing is over, the chairman backslaps the witness and they walk out together. It was just theater. Didn't mean anything. So that was like the saddest thing for me to realize that it was all just theater. Didn't really mean anything. And that's probably the harshest lesson, but that's the realest lesson.
And while this point might not be as popular among this crowd, while I do have great respect for everyone that's speaking here at the Red Pill Expo, and Ed Griffin is a great friend of ours, I've noticed that going back as far as you can look, every president has ran on the potential for change. We've seen that for a couple hundred years now. And we've seen that with Bush. He actually talked about auditing the Federal Reserve when he was running. You know, Obama, change we can believe in, the first black president. That sounds very anti-establishment. And then we have Trump now, and he goes under the, he's seen as very anti-establishment. And we see media's attacking him with false information, but at the same time, we also see false information in supporting him in places like Fox News, etc. The military-industrial complex looks like it's going down over here, but it looks like it's being propped up over here.
Yeah.
And I have to ask, this has caused a vast amount of divide among the populace. You know, people are fighting themselves instead of the real enemy. Is there a
that's right.
concerted effort to divide the populace? I wouldn't say just using Donald Trump, but using this, you know, dog and pony show of politics.
Oh, that's a wonderful, wonderful question. And it builds so beautifully off of, you know, when my hopes on the Hill were shattered by watching the chairman and, you know, they walked out arm in arm.
Yeah.
It was all a charade. Okay, so I would go back to Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire, and he outlines the mechanisms of oppression and the tools for liberation. The mechanisms of oppression are conquest, manipulation, divide and rule, and cultural invasion. The tools for liberation are cooperation, organization, unity for liberation, and cultural synthesis. So now, what does all of that really mean? What it means is that one of those tools that has been shown to be tried and true is divide and rule. So if we can balkanize the population, put everybody into their little silo, then you're absolutely right. Nobody will be paying attention to the people who are doing the balkanizing. And that was the point of my remarks yesterday, that I wanted the audience to understand that we are what we are today because some people had a plan a long time ago, and they, like my campaign manager said, make your plan, work your plan, and your plan will work for you. And that's exactly what we're seeing now.
And do you see there to be a problem with, you know, people expecting government to change things rather than you, the individual? Are we just apathetic? Are we just sitting here looking at, oh, well, Trump is going to drain the swamp and change everything. We can just sit down and relax until the next election. Do you find that that is kind of starting to happen or has been happening since the election?
Well, I certainly hope not, because, well, you know, I think that the Hillary Clinton record was one that certainly, absolutely did not warrant her being rewarded with the Oval Office. So there was no way that I would be supportive of a Hillary Clinton presidency. Now we've got to the point where, okay, we have to maintain that same vigilance with this president. And if we don't, then if we fall into that trap of complacency that, or even worse, maybe apathy that you're talking about, then we will deserve everything that we get. So that's why I'm here at the Red Pill Expo, because, and you know, and I love those young people at Anarchapulco. Oh my goodness, you talk about one day saying, man, this country is in bad shape. And another day saying, wow, the young people are our hope, you know? And so you go to Anarchapulco and you emerge energized and with hope, because you see young people who get it. They understand what's happening. They understand that there is politics is a swamp. Washington, D.C. is a swamp. System is rigged. Maybe the system was only rigged against a few people, but now the system is rigged almost against everybody. And so that Deutsche Bank statistic that 0.1% of the wealth of the people of the U.S. own as much as 90% of the rest of us. I mean, this is like a transformation is taking place before our very eyes, and they don't want us to see it. But there was a investigative journalist who sent me something, what was it, like about 2000 and maybe 10. And basically what he did was he listed the Fortune 500 companies, and he listed the majority shareholders prior to 2007, so-called economic crisis. been talking too much. And then he listed the ones as of like 2009. A new crew. So basically, there was a study that was done by some organization, and the article reported that now there were 3 corporations that were majority, or that were the largest shareholder in all of the Fortune 500 companies. 3. And they're not the same 3 that were prior to 2007. So basically, if the U.S. economy is the Titanic, the chairs on the deck were switched. And now those people who used to own the United States no longer own the United States, and a new crew do. Now, what does that tell us? This is something that I predicted. I'm not the only one. I took it to Michael Hudson. Michael Hudson said, absolutely yes. I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Hudson. He's an economist. And so basically, what happened in the Soviet Union under Gorbachev and Russia under Boris Yeltsin was that the state-owned enterprises, SOEs, the state-owned enterprises in the Soviet Union, the people had been drained of all of their wealth, all of their income, all of their money, all of their savings went down to pennies on a dollar or pennies on a ruble. And so when the time came for the sale of the state-owned enterprises, nobody was able to buy. And the entire economy of the Soviet Union / Russia fell into the hands of 11 people. And that's who we call the oligarchs. Now you have to have that background to understand what's going on in 2016, 17, and 18 with Trump.